So can I now tell you about my absolute, hands down, favorite scam of the year?
What's
Is it
that?
time?
It is time.
I want to tell you about Nikola Motors, man. I think I sent you a video. We're going to try to link this in the description
Okay.
from Donut Media. If you guys haven't seen this, it's this electric car company.
Donut
Now,
Media. Like I'm supposed to buy into anything. A company called Donut Media. But
yeah,
go
like
ahead. Go
donut,
ahead. Yeah.
like you go in the parking lot and do donuts, like when you
I
were a
know.
kid.
I get it. Go ahead.
You and your brothers used to go crank the front of your Model
And
T
it
up,
wasn't
and
in a parking lot. It was in a field. All right. So
that's correct.
kiss my ass. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a great. And listen, I'm a guy who loves a good scam. Why? Like every red-blooded American man, we want to go out and do Ocean's 11 with our friends. That is, that is a Dane Cook uh, bit.
What is it?
Yeah. Now Nikola Motors says it's and it lives in this time where there's all of this freshly printed money from the Federal Reserve's printing, which creates these extremely cheap lines of credit. So big venture cap firms go out there and they draw on these massive multi-million dollar lines of credit. And they make these ridiculous investments. And within the real estate space, even they get loans that are called non-recourse, which they get to invest the money. And if it doesn't work out, they just go, well, have a nice day. And they just drop this on the government, on the people. But when it comes to private, investment, that's not the case. There's recourse, but they got money
Yes.
from General Motors, El General in español.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let me tell you something. Well, at first, General Motors was going to invest this massive amount of money. They were going to give them a huge boost. They were going to give them motors and all this other stuff. The guy who started, I think his name is Trevor Milton. Trevor Milton created Nikola Motors, and his brother was the head of hydrogen propulsion. His
Right.
brother's job right before this was not at NASA, was not at Tesla, and it certainly was not for another car company. He was a drywaller. Nothing wrong with drywalling, okay? But just saying, don't know how that translates, all right? I don't know if those skills translate. Here's why I like it. This company basically puts out Photoshop pictures of a truck, and they think they made $50,000 in 2019 or something, and they raised enough money in stock in IPO to be a multi-billion-dollar company. I think they're
Yeah.
worth something like $32 billion,
Yes.
and they have nothing. It's vaporware.
Dude, and again, the pictures and then the video. The downhill video of the truck where then it's come out. Now, okay, look, first let me step back. I will never understand how a company like General Motors or the American government, for example, will decide to spend millions and in some cases billions of dollars with doing no fact checking at all. No
Yeah.
background checking. How does a company, a multi-billion-dollar company like General Motors, not know that that is fake? Now, you and me watching it on YouTube and can go, oh my God, look at that. That's a cold fusion semi-truck, right?
But it
Rolling
ain't.
down here, whatever. I'm sitting here. All I know is what I'm seeing on that screen, right?
Yeah, but
That's
even
it.
I looked at it. It was like fake.
Okay, but you sit there and you watch it, and then you go, okay. Then General Motors invests in it, which gives the people that's it says, okay, this must be a real thing, right? It gets us
And therein
confidence.
lies the scam. And therein lies the scam, my friend. Now, the same thing happened to Rivian. I don't know if you're familiar with Rivian. Ford initially said, we're going to make this huge
Yes.
investment into Rivian. Rivian has not been proven to be some sort of vaporware scam yet, but I still don't think you can go buy a Rivian truck. They don't exist anywhere. Bollinger, which is a dumb name and a dumb design,
Another one.
you can at least go buy, like, there's at least a prototype that you can watch somebody drive on Jay Leno's Garage. Like, there's at least something there, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is I think I wouldn't use a phrase like pump and dump. This is just my opinion. I'm an idiot. No one should listen to anything I'm saying. I think it's the rub here is that the company goes, okay, we can raise a bunch of stock. For instance, I'll give you an example. When Bill Gates gave a huge sum of money to Mark Zuckerstad for Facebook, and he said, I just want 1%. it seems stupid to you and me or to the other idiots that exist on this planet, but to him, what he's doing is he's making a strategic long-term investment. And what he's doing is he's signaling to the marketplace, I'm a billionaire. I'm investing into this thing. And I'm saying, I gave him $10 million. I think it's only worth 1%. That means it's $100 million company. It's never shown a single revenue. It's never sold a daggum thing, but it's $100 million company.
Right.
And so I think this engages in what I call the fabrication of non-real or liquid value, which just means it's worth a crap load of money in your brain. And that's the extent to which you can extract the value, because real value is when somebody pulls money out of their wallet and buys a thing from you, right? And insofar as you can separate somebody from their hard-earned money, that's when you have value. And the reality is, if you can take something public with fabricated theoretical value, non-liquid reality, like just throw all the adjectives at it, man. If you can do that, you create money out of thin air.
Well,
You
look, that's the Warren Buffett effect, right? Warren
Yeah.
Buffett has the same thing when he goes, well, I
Yeah.
just invested $1 million in this company. That company knows that it's going to turn around and get $300 million from a whole bunch of other people, right?
Or if
So,
Bill Ackman is out there shorting your stock like Herbalife, well, that didn't work out for Bill Ackman, but still.
So you get this confidence, this perceived confidence. But look, you can argue that we already live in a world of money and wealth is in thin air, right? I mean, when they say something like the stock market hit a new high, for most people, 7 out of 10 people, that is irrelevant. 7 out of 10 people don't own stock in anything, right? It's also the 30%, the 10%, the 20%, and the 30% that own stock in those companies that it makes any difference to whatsoever in wealth.
Right. And also, the government printed $6 trillion in 4 years. So, yeah, where do you think that money ends up? It ends up in market liquidity. But I just think, listen.
I don't know how a company, that's all I'm saying, is I don't know how a company, like you said, Rivian, but in this case we're talking about Nikola, is how they get to that extent where a company like General Motors, somebody at General Motors had to sign off of that, and it just wasn't one person. It was several people. Did they literally just walk into a conference room and show that YouTube video where here's our truck driving down the hill, when it was literally, we now know that a semi tow truck towed it up the hill, and the reason it's coming down the hill is because it's not even running. It's rolling down the hill.
I mean, if I was him, I would have just been like, we're using a new form of technology. It's called gravity motion or something like that.
So that it was reasonable.
Because it ain't electricity, pal.
It was just another word of truth.
Right. So, the reason I love this story is, GM is sized down their investment, but now they've kicked Trevor Milton to the curb. A former GM executive has taken over as CEO, and they've significantly and drastically altered the future of what Nikola Motors is going to be. And I think this is on GM's part, it's brilliant, because now they're playing in a sandbox with somebody else's money, right?
Sure, but I was surprised at it because they also had Hummer EV came out, right?
Yeah.
They've invested a lot of money in the Hummer EV truck, and that's coming. Regardless of what happens with Nikola and everything else, that's coming, right?
But
Hummer EV
here's
is
what
done.
I think. So they've significantly stripped down the business. They're not making the Badger truck anymore, right? So the initial business was to make a pickup, or part of the initial business. So Nikola is going to be like entirely focused on making semis, hydrogen and electric hybrid semis, which I think that, I don't know about the technology, but I definitely think that GM is happy to be playing in the space with somebody else's money, the money that was raised with somebody else's IPO, with somebody else's brand. I think the brand is the dumbest thing. Like, Nikola's dumb, the logo's dumb, everything about it is stupid.
But it's money. It doesn't matter if it's stupid.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I love the story. I love the story because Trevor Milton had the big brass balls to go out there and perpetuate a scheme of this nature. And let me tell you something, man. If I have one regret in my life, it's that I wasn't out there hoodwinking more people. right?
He doesn't mean that from a legal standpoint.
Of
He is
course
not
not. Of course
responsible
not. I'm
for
saying
any of his actions. But yeah,
this is
no,
hypothetical. I'm saying
dude.
hypothetically.
I mean, look. I mean, can you sit there and go back? If I had one, I would make more money from. Yeah, sure. Everybody can say that. Would have everybody wished they could go back in time and give Mark Zuckerberg or you know what I mean, or Bill Gates or anybody part of their initial
Dude, my
capital?